Welcome back, everybody, to part 2 of today's podcast. We've been talking about batteries and the future of battery systems here in the solar space. I've been joined by my guest, Nate Skousen. In part 2 of this segment, we're going to show you guys how to actually present solar with a battery. So pay attention and see what you can incorporate into your own presentations as you guys learn how to sell this new technology. Let's go. All right, so just take it away. We'll just take it from the top.
Yeah.
Let's assume that we've already done whatever small talk.
Okay.
And you're getting into why am I here? However you like to do it. So I'm just gonna be your customer.
How long you guys lived here?
We moved in about 6 years ago now, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where'd you guys move from?
Colorado.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you guys been here a long time then. And in the past since then, have you noticed kind of the bills going up?
Oh yeah. I mean everything goes up. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do today was we'll just kind of go through and see what we can do to help you. But mostly I want to find out, what you're looking for. Obviously I'm here, why am I here? What was your main reason for even thinking about solar, looking into it?
I've had a bunch of guys stopping by, right?
Okay.
A lot of people stop by. I haven't really talked to them. I've seen some people on my street get it. My neighbor a couple doors down. I'm not sure if it was you guys. I think it was you guys that
Okay.
installed that. I'm just
So never really done like deep dive into it, got
No.
quotes and
not too much. Like I
But
said,
you-
I've had the
okay.
guys stop by and I've just never really
okay.
done anything with it.
Then that probably tells me your bill's like not $1,000 a month because you'd probably be looking at.
I mean,
what's
we
about
get
your bill?
our high bill. I think it was like $390
$390.
last month or so.
Okay, and your low bill's then probably around like what, 220 ish.
Well, in the winter,
$250.
the winter time we get pretty low, like $150, 125, I think.
If you had to put a number on it, would you say like around 250 average or like 300 average?
Probably 200,
250, so.
250 something.
Okay. So we'll just kind of start there. So that $250 bill, like you said, you've seen it going up every year.
Yeah.
Paying your electric bills like paying rent. It's just going to keep going up, never going to end, which
Sure.
is why people look into solar and get solar in the first place. I've been doing this about 12 years, and it's been super, super interesting what's happened recently. When I started, solar is very easy.
Mm-hmm.
You have these different rates with SRP, they charge you around 10, they charge you around 20, whatever it is. They're always going to have, you can pick like 5 different rate plans, but you're always going to average around 16, 17 cents or so. If we were to do the math, I promise you that's what you'd be at.
Okay.
And it'd be raising every year. So people get solar and the obvious problem with solar is, well, how do you get your power at night, which is where the utility companies come in. So what happens with solar is it produces way more power than you use. And that extra power goes to the grid. They spin your meter backwards. You get credits. Then at night, you use the power. Let's say you used 10,000 kilowatt hours.
Mm-hmm.
I would just have to have a system produce 10,000 kilowatt hours. You buy that system, you're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
The system's going to cost you about 10 years of electric bills, and it's going to last like 30. People do solar all the time. Really easy. Why not? The problem is once that gets very, very popular, the utility companies start to fight it.
Okay.
Having in Hawaii, California, they can't just do this forever for people. They're essentially your free battery, right? You were producing that extra power.
Mm-hmm.
You still got to use electricity at night, even though solar only works during the day. And you didn't have to pay the utility company. You basically utilize them as a free battery. That's kind of all came to an end. So you lived here 6 years. Have you heard? Do you have like friends
Yeah,
who've gotten solar and they still have a bill?
Yeah, I
or-
just heard that SRP had like a bunch of new charges and stuff like that. So that's kind of one of the reasons I've been a little bit hesitant
Yeah.
in even looking at it, because I heard that like they had some fees. I don't know, but I just heard that it wasn't as good as what you're talking
Right.
about.
Yeah, I was talking about the heyday, the good old days.
Yeah.
You know, I used to walk up hills both ways to school. But yeah, it's different now. So if you've known anybody with solar, friends, family, neighbors, you might hear them talk about how they still have a bill with the utility company.
Mm-hmm.
So what they've changed is they kind of say, look, we can no longer be your free battery. We're going to have to, instead of giving you, you know, for every kilowatt hour you give me, I give you a kilowatt hour credit.
Mm-hmm.
They attached a price to it. So now they say, whenever you give me a kilowatt hour, I'm going to credit your account this much.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever you take it, I'm going to charge you this much. You still have to pay the difference, even though you have solar. Now you can get solar, and the difference in that payment, those two together are still cheaper than not getting solar.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why people do it. But let me ask you this. People get solar for financial reasons,
Mm-hmm.
but also for the fact they just don't like being controlled and billed by the utility. I mean, a cell phone's fine because I know it's $150 a month. That's what my contract is. But they don't like the idea that they can just charge you whatever they want, whenever they want. It's going to keep going up. They don't like that.
Sure.
So I'd say half the people are getting solar to be independent, to be able to say, F you to the grid. I don't need you. The grid could go down for a month and I would be just fine. I'm independent. I'm on my own. We can make your house your own power plant. It's super cool. And that's why the other half of people do it. And they tell me, you know what? Even if this was more than the utility, well, what am I getting for the utility? Anytime the power goes out, my house goes out too. Mm-hmm. I would pay more to be independent, to have that protection for my family. And that's like the other half. So I know you haven't looked into it too much. You know yourself. What would you say? Are you kind of more this I only want to do it to save me? Or do you see value in that independence?
I guess, you know, I know that people do it for savings, so that's why I'm interested. I mean, I'd like to be able to, if there's a way to save money, then I'd like to. But, you know, having this ability to, you know, have a backup system if the power went out for a long time, that would be kind of cool too.
So everybody,
obviously, it just depends on how much it costs.
Yeah. There's budget in mind. I'd love to have a Ferrari. You know, everything has a budget in mind, and we'll get to that. But would you? So you've heard of generators, right?
Sure.
Power goes out. 30 seconds later,
we had one in Colorado, actually. Yeah.
Oh, you had one. So you know, it's one of those things where, when do you think the most people buy alarms?
Maybe if they hear that there's a rising crime, or maybe a neighbor gets broken into.
A lot of people buy it. Yeah. The day after they get broken into.
Certainly, yeah, that makes sense too.
It happens all the time. They get broken into, they buy an alarm. Generators are very much the same way. This town, the big storm, you think after that thing happened in Texas, you think Generac was busy or not busy? Everybody wanted generators after that. It's an insurance policy. And they know I could buy this generator and the power never goes out again. Mm-hmm. They know I can buy this alarm and I never have a break-in again. You don't know how valuable something is until it's happened to you. Mm-hmm. So I guess if I was sitting here selling generators or something, you did have one in Colorado.
It was with the house when we moved in.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Would you be the type of, would you ever spend money on a generator, or would you be like, I wouldn't even spend $1 on a generator?
If I was having the power go out all the time, I would. But I mean, you know, in the 6 years that we've been here, I think the power has gone out for like a total of 5 minutes. Like, we just haven't had that issues. I know that there's been parts of the city that have been out for a lot more, but luckily this area is maybe a little bit newer or whatever, so we haven't had to deal with it too much.
And you never, like natural disaster, you never know, what could happen in the future. But if you knew you could protect your family, if you had a way where no matter what happened to the grid, natural disaster, a fire, somebody, anything, people see value in protecting their family and having that insurance policy. Everybody sees a different amount. If you were to put a number on it and somebody said, hey, I'm going to drop this generator off at your house, but it's going to, have a monthly fee deducted out of your checking account, what would that be worth to you?
I mean, in Arizona, like I said, because it's been so reliable, I don't know that I would pay very much. I'd probably pay, I don't know, $30-$40 a month, maybe. Something like
Some people tell me zero. So like, I don't care. So like $30-$40. So you see value in it.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So what we're going to do with the solar, how it works is, well, if your main focus is savings, this appointment can be really quick. I can change you. Right now you're paying like 16 cents. I can change you over to a rate plan where you get it for like 6, which is insanely, you got to understand how cheap 6 cents is.
Yeah.
You can go back like 40 years and the power wasn't 6 cents. Very, 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 very cheap power. So right now you can save a ton of money. You change your rate plan, that's free. However, nothing's free, right? So you're going to pay for it in comfort and convenience because you're going to have to go out to your main breaker every day at 3 o'clock. Now, I don't know if I'm getting these times right, but every day at 3 o'clock, turn it off and turn it back on. Why? They're going to give you that power for 6 cents because they punish you during the peak hours. During the peak hours, it's going to be insanely expensive with demand fees, and you're going to be right back at.
Yeah, we're on one of those plans right now where I think we're on the 3 to 6 or something like that, where power goes up. So we try to do the laundry afterwards or do the dishwashing afterwards.
But it's obviously impossible to not use power.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, unless nobody's going to go turn it off. And on this rate where they give you the cheapest power for the off-peak, obviously you get punished the most for the on-peak. Yeah. And that's why if you went to that plan, you'd basically have to literally shut off your... Nobody's going to do that.
Right.
The next cheapest way to save that amount of money, because you'll save the same exact amount of money. The first way, you get to save that amount of money by spending no money. But you don't get to have electricity. You get to have it on weekends and holidays. But not during the... Yeah. So nobody goes with that plan, but it's free. So you save the most money.
It's still not going to work.
Yeah. So the next thing would be, hey, I don't want... What happens if I'm at the store? How am I going to run home and turn off my power? We can install a span panel. They're about $5,000 to $8,000. And this thing controls all the breakers in your house. So you can see what your laundry uses, it's super cool. I can send you some YouTube videos. But you can program it to turn off all your breakers at 3 o'clock, turn them back on at 7. You're still paying for it. You're paying for it in comfort, but you paid for the convenience of this thing doing it for you. Obviously, you probably don't want to go that route either because you don't have electricity.
My wife's home all day.
Again,
she's not going to
cheaper.
go without the AC. Yeah.
So that's where these batteries come into play. So we're doing the brand new Tesla. These things are like 2, 3, brand new. They didn't even tell anyone they were coming out. What these are meant for. This will basically be like you going out to that main breaker and turning it off. This will disconnect you from the grid in the same way that does, so you're not using power during the peak hours. Here's the difference. It's a battery. It has power in it. So you use the power from the battery during the peak hours. And now what I've just done is I've just taken you from paying 16 cents for all your power to 5 cents for all your power. Nobody's going to do that. Solar can't do that. Solar is more expensive than 5 cents. I don't even think there's a utility company in the country that charges 5 cents. So obviously you have to pay for the battery to do that. But that's going to save you the most money if your purpose is savings. However, like you said, you do see value in protecting your family. And you know that the grid goes up every year. That 5 cents is not going to be 5 cents forever. So you may be asking, well, then why the heck do people ever get solar with their battery? Well, they're doing it to lock in a lower price. I can get you solar to charge that battery for about 13 cents. You know, sell it to you cash. If we do the math, it'll be about 13 cents, maybe even 10, depending on your son. That, I guarantee that 10 cents will be cheaper than your 15 cents going up every year. When we were talking first, you guys said you moved here from Colorado. You love it here. Let's pretend like that's what we talked about. Like, you love it here. No, we would never move. One of the things I always ask people, I'm like, so do you hate it here? Are you like, I can't wait to leave? Or are you like, you would have to shoot me to get me out of this house? So let's pretend you're like, no, we moved from Colorado to Arizona.
We love Arizona.
We
came here for the winters.
Yes, we came here. Like, we're not leaving. So that's the type of person you are. So yeah, you're going to pay more to charge that battery for this battery's going to last 25, 30 years. That's the other thing that they changed is the cycle life. You'll pay way more than the 10, 13 cents with solar will cost to charge it. So that's why people get the solar. They also get it if that power goes out. You never know. Just like you never know if somebody's going to break into your house or not. You never know if there's going to be some strange freeze, some strange wind, that takes down the grid, that takes it down for 2 days, 3 days. Even if it's just a day or two and you lose, what if you just bought a freezer full of steak? How much money is that? Just gone. So they also get the solar because if you have only the batteries for like, I just want to save the most amount of money. Well, the power goes out. Once that battery drains, you're done. When we add the solar, it gives you that full system, that full, complete system. So I'm kind of saying, are you like the type of person who is just wanting to save the most or kind of wanting that, also getting a generator out of it basically with the solar?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd rather have, I mean, it sounds like you can kind of do both because you were saying that you're using the battery and you're using the battery so you don't have to buy the power in the afternoon. But then you could also use it if the power goes out.
So what we're doing, like when I was saying, hey, you can charge the battery with the grid at 5 cents or with solar. So we're going to give you a good mix of that solar, a good mix of being independent, but also you still want to charge with some of that 5 cents because it's still really cheap.
Yeah.
So basically how it's going to work is, let's say sun comes out. You're going to be living off the solar, and you're going to be pulling from the grid a little bit, but it's going to be at the 5 cent time. Then rolling into this battery is smart enough to make sure that you're going into peak hours with a full charge, because if the solar, let's say it was a monsoony day, well, it can charge from the grid at 5 cents before it rolls into 3 o'clock, and then now it's discharging through the peak hours. But what's really cool, you have a western facing roof, which is amazing, by the way. Like the western, and this is why that was peak hours in at 7 o'clock. So you want as much solar as possible as the sun's setting. So it's not just your battery during those peak hours, it's the battery and solar. So then the battery can roll you through past peak hours, and maybe it dies out at midnight, 1 in the morning, and then it's 5 cents again until the sun comes out. So that's how this system saves you money. But like we were talking before, saving is like the icing on the cake. I mean, none of this is crazy expensive. I mean, your electric bill, you said it's $250 a month. I can make your electric bill zero. It's not like you're going to go on a vacation every year because you're saving it's $250 a month. But if you're able to protect your family, you're not getting anything for that $250 a month. That's why people don't like it. But if you can, like you said, you pay $30 a month to protect your family. If something was $280 a month, but you're getting independence, you're getting protection against that worst case scenario, and it's always going to be $280. I think that's better than paying $250 for something that doesn't even work when you need power the most during a disaster. Yeah, $250 raising, you're only paying that $30 that you thought was a value. You're not even paying that forever. That's only for like the next year or two, and then your bill would have been $280 anyways. So I want to make sure you understand the concept of how, because you see solar going up everywhere.
Yeah.
You'll start seeing more about batteries, especially since Facebook's been listening to us. You'll start seeing ads about batteries and stuff. So really just make sure you don't have any questions on anything.
Well, yeah. So my question, I mean, with my bill, I guess my question would be like, what would something like this cost? You're kind of throwing out numbers, but like, how many panels would I need? Like,
so yeah, without even like diving in, because I could do all this work to dive in and give you this exact number and everything. So it seems like you're interested.
I mean, yeah, I definitely want to know what the numbers look like, because it sounds like a good solution.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
We'll pause right there, right? So he got the yes, right? Sounds like you're interested. He's got now, customers now are starting to ask questions. I think you guys kind of know at this point, if you've been selling solar, you know what to do moving forward. But what Nate's just shown us here is how do we create this need for solar and battery, okay? I want you to go back and watch it again and pay attention to the questions that he asked. Pay attention to the scenarios that he used to paint that picture, right? He used a lot of examples to help me as a customer kind of think about, what would I do in this scenario? What would it be like if I didn't have to have this current situation, right? He's value building, he's creating problems, and he's offering solutions all throughout this whole buildup. Now, we've been talking for whatever that just was, 20 minutes, before he's even gotten to a proposal. He hasn't shown me a design. He hasn't shown me pricing. He hasn't talked about financing. He hasn't even talked about tax credits yet. He's spent all of his time building up this concept so that for me, I have to make the decision, is it better to stay where I'm at or to go to a new situation? If it's a new situation makes more sense, then value's already there and now I'm willing to pay for it. And he's already got me to answer that question. Yeah, I'd be willing to pay more than what I'm paying right now. And now money's not an issue. Savings isn't an issue. We're not going to go through this whole presentation at the end holding our breath inside, wondering if this guy's going to bite, because I don't know if this was what he was expecting from a savings perspective.
And there are people, because I'm painting that picture like you said, and then it gets down to, okay, this is awesome. But I always stop them before I get price. And I say, look, if I was here and you didn't want a pool, you hated swimming pools, why would I sit here and give you the price of a swimming pool? So first, I want to make sure that if this price that I give you fits your budget, that like you're willing to do it. Otherwise, why are you even asking me for a price on something you're not even interested in?
Right.
I'm not interested in a Louis Vuitton shoes. I don't care how much they cost. I will never buy. Why? So I'm not going to give you the price unless you tell me that if the price fits your budget, let's do this. If you can afford it, let's do this. Now, if you can't afford it, then I get it. But if you're that interested to ask me for a price, if I give you a price that you can afford, let's pull the trigger and let's move forward. Otherwise, why the hell am I giving you a price? I'm not going to go do all this work to put together a proposal for you, to do all this and give you a price if you won't even tell me that if the price fits your budget, you're going to move forward. That's like a Lamborghini salesman giving a price of a Lamborghini to a homeless guy. Mm-hmm. He's not a buyer.
It's pointless. It's
pointless.
It's a pointless exercise. Yeah.
So you got to get them to want it, and to want it for way more than savings. Savings is the least. Like you said, I don't even get into savings.
Yeah.
I get into savings like at the end and stuff. I'll say, hey.
But the thing is that's cool is that you've kind of alluded to it because you've talked about, we're replacing the expensive power with the cheaper power. I'm drawing my own conclusions. Well, then cheaper. I should be saving. That sounds cheaper,
and
right?
I'm sitting here told you that you were going to go from 16 cents to 5 cents from the grid. Mm-hmm. Now, the solar charging is 13 cents. So it's a mix of 13 cents, 5. You're paying like 8 to charge that battery. Obviously, you're smart enough to know 8's cheaper than 16.
Yep.
I'll let you make your own conclusions on the dollar amount. I'm confident talking about kilowatt hour pricing. You can make your own conclusions on the dollar amount that it will save you. I can tell you how much it will cost. You figure out how much it will save you because you're not buying it for the savings anyways. So I'm not going to try to pitch you on
There's
the
no
savings.
reason.
I'm not even going to show
bring
you
that up. Now you might have an owl customer, right? That's going to be like, I need to understand what this actually is going to save me. Well, cool. Then pull out your Sunbase, right? It's going to give you hourly interval data, and you can say this is what your month-to-month comparison looks like. But we're so used to doing this because we've been able to, right? Going back to the very beginning, because we've had a higher buyback or even a net metering setup where showing what you're paying now and what you're paying later makes sense. That's why somebody wants to do it, is just for savings. But now that buyback is dropped, and now that the proposition needs to change, and actually that there is more value to add to someone than just solar, doing that comparison back and forth isn't what you ought to be doing. And so don't get stuck in the same routine on your proposals, I guess is what I'm saying here, is learn how to sell the value in this so that you're not getting stuck at that point of the proposal and having that be the hinge point of whether or not this is going to move forward.
And you got to say little things like, people buy generator. Wouldn't you agree with me that people buy generators? Wouldn't you agree with me? Generac is a pretty big company. They do thousands of installs every year. People buy generators and it doesn't save them $1. Why do they buy it? So you got to get in that mindset of, people buy this for the value that it's giving, just like a diesel generator, just like a propane generator. They don't buy it for the savings. They buy it for the protection. Solar is just unique, where it's a generator plus the independence plus the savings plus the, and if a generator is enough value for millions of people to get them, then obviously this is too. So now in their head, they're buying something that should just cost them money, like a generator does.
Yes.
But they get to have a generator that ends up paying them money over time.
And what's so cool is the questions that you asked early on. It's like there's kind of two people that get solar, and there's no right or wrong here, right? Yeah. There's the people that get it to save money, which this is how I can do it for you. And you went through that whole scenario of, I can either just turn the breakers off, or I can do a demand management system, or I can do just solar that's going to lower your cost per kilowatt hour during those daytime hours. Or there's somebody that wants to do the same thing and add this backup, and then you go through the benefits of the backup and where the grid's going and why that's going to be important. Where would you peg yourself in those two different scenarios? Most people are going to naturally want to take the better package, right? At that point, they kind of, for the most part, they want to be responsible, and they're going to say, well, yeah, I'd really like to do that.
Nobody has said the other one.
Right.
Not one.
The way that you've set it up, it pushes them into this value sale. And then so from there on out, we don't need to talk about savings.
And they feel like they're getting this amazing, and for $30 a month.
Yeah.
For $50 a month.
Yeah.
It's not $300. It's $50.
And you guys remember this, right? When we talk about $30 a month, this is not the solar battery bill. It's what they were paying plus that, right? Because now they're going to have a bigger bill than what they were paying before. I don't want anybody misunderstanding that we're trying to tell
we're selling
customer,
solar and batteries for $30 a month.
They're paying more than what they're doing, but we're trying to peg them to how much more in your current situation. How much more would you be willing to pay right now just for a generator? Well, I'd be willing to pay $50 extra a month. Cool. Then that's where we're at. Your solar bill plus battery combined will be $50 more a month than what you're already paying to the utility.
And you can take it even further, because you aren't comparing apples to apples in that situation. So you can take it even further. This $30 a month is cheaper than your bill plus a bill to finance a generator.
Perfect.
Wait, from day one. So they do save money day one, apples to apples. Because you'd have to, well, what's your bill? How much is the payment on an $18,000 credit human loan? Like $160 a month. So I got to take your bill plus $160 a month, because that's what I'm giving you.
Yeah.
So when you do that, when you compare apples to apple, and they've already agreed to pay $30 more a month, and they're like, oh, wait, you're right. I have to do my APS bill plus $160 a month payment for a generator. Oh, my gosh. You're $140 a month cheaper than apples to apples. Mm-hmm. Let's do this.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the last thing I bring in to really, like, if you're not going to do it now, like, okay, call me if you're ready. Like, if you won't do it after that, like, you're not interested.
Yep. But it's great, though, because you've given them, like I said, you've given them this 20-minute intro scenario setup to where you've got them into the state of this scenario makes more sense. If what I'm going to show you is within your budget and the monthly payment is something you can handle, can you see any reason why you would not want to move forward right now, right? You've already pre-closed them. So now when you do go through your proposal, when you do show them the pricing, it's an automatic yes. There's no pressure. It's very, very easy, okay? It's a different way of selling than what we're used to. But as the industry has changed, as utilities have changed, and as technology has now advanced, we have an opportunity to give our customers what I believe is a much more valuable proposition, much better product. And along with that, we haven't even talked about this, but rolling in other reduction properties into the whole system, adding insulation, adding
We're trying to
aeroseal.
make it fast, but that's huge. So a lot of times they're on this weird cusp of you need 2.7 batteries to do what I've talked about, to pull you through peak and to pull you through, because you can't do averages. You do averages, you're going to screw you because they're going to get bills. Yeah. So if you're trying to pull them through their highest bill peak, a lot of times you'll be like, well, you need like 2.5 batteries. You know what's a heck of a lot cheaper than a third battery? Efficiency.
Yep.
And let's lower that to where 2 batteries is doing what 3 would have done with that higher
Let's
usage.
add another blanket up there in the attic.
So a lot of people, so I have like 3, 4. They're kind of like, I don't know. Do I want to do that third battery or the span panel? Do I want to do that second battery or some insulation? Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times when I'm leaving that house, it is not, do I want to do it? Or that's not what they're thinking about. They're thinking about 3 batteries or 2 batteries with some insulation. 1 battery with a span panel versus 2. 2 batteries versus 1 generator. Because if they're not interested, I've kind of like, I didn't even give them a price. Mm-hmm. We kind of stopped it to where like, I'm seriously not even going to give you a price if you're not interested.
Yeah.
Like if you're not going to say. And then the people would be cool. Like, yeah man, you could tell me it was $10 a month. I'm still not going to do it. All right, cool. That's fine.
Yeah.
I don't care if you don't want it.
Here's my card, though. Call me when your power goes out.
Yeah, right.
We're going to end it there. I think everything that we've gone over is sufficient for you, what you guys need. Go back and watch the first part of this episode and then review the second episode. Take all those talking points that we just went over in the sales presentation and then take notes on how that was an application of all the principles that we talked about in the first part of the episode, considering where the utility is going, what's going to be happening in the future, and why this technology is so important for our customers. Appreciate you guys listening. Please pass this around. There are a lot of people in this industry that need this kind of training and are not going to get it anywhere. We want to make sure that we're protecting our customers, that we're treating them well. And so we need to educate ourselves as sales professionals, as power consultants, to do it in the right way. So please pass this episode along to anybody that you know who is selling solar and who wants to better understand batteries. Appreciate you guys. Have an awesome day. We'll talk to you later.